Cam Newton is the most underappreciated, underrated quarterback in the NFL and probably the most underappreciated talent in NFL history. He's the most unique talent that we have ever seen, at least I have ever seen. And for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to get enough credit or the fans' admiration that he deserves. I think Cam Newton deserves better from us NFL fans. It's Mitch here of TheBottomLineView, here to give you my opinion on why I believe Cam Newton is underappreciated and why I believe he is better than you think. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more NFL content just like this. Yes, there have been times throughout the course of Cam Newton's NFL career where I haven't liked Cam. He hasn't always been the best on and off the field. You know, he's not exactly the best at putting things the right way in press conferences or not being outlandish and arrogant on the field. And that's the way I took it in the past. But over the past couple of seasons, have become a Cam Newton fan. And now I really just see that everybody is underrating, underappreciating the greatness of the most unique football player I have ever seen, Cam Newton. According to a poll from The Athletic, after this past NFL season, from 85 defensive players in the NFL, they voted Cam Newton as not only underrated, but the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. And just think to yourself, why would that be? Why would NFL defensive players vote Cam Newton the most underrated quarterback in the NFL? Well, it's because Cam Newton is the Panthers. He is their offense, he is their identity, and he has been their team since being drafted way back in 2011. So Cam Newton was voted the most underrated quarterback. It's because if Cam Newton is not absolutely spectacular, if Cam Newton is not special in a given game, in a given season, the Carolina Panthers are no good, and the Cam Newton-led Panthers lose, and everything, yes, falls on Cam Newton's shoulders, whether it's good or bad. And I think oftentimes when it's bad, it falls too heavily on his shoulders. As I'll discuss in this video, he's had issues with his wide receiver core. He's had major issues with his offensive line. He's had lack of running games. He's had severe lack of defenses over the years. And he's had just overall lack of consistency. But another reason why Cam Newton was voted as underrated by his peers is because Cam Newton is one of the hardest football players to stop in a given week. He is one of these players in the NFL that is capable of taking over a football game, and he is capable, one of the only quarterbacks in the NFL, of being the best player in the NFL on a given week. You could go into week number 5, week number 8, week number 13, and in that week, Cam Newton would be the best player to take foot on a football field and absolutely destroy his opponent. That's his capability. That's how special he is. That's his quality. But not only is he underrated in that facet, but he's underrated in the facet that us fans don't really think about. A lot of fans in the NFL, they just look at the stats, they look at the passer rating, they look at the completion percentage, but they don't actually look at the impact that a player has on the game. Cam Newton doesn't just have an impact as a passer, but he has an impact as a runner. He doesn't just have an impact on him physically running the football, but he has an impact on how his running backs are going to run, because defenses, linebackers are peeking in the backfield to pay attention to if Cam Newton's going to keep the ball or if he's going to give the ball. And Cam Newton is a dual threat in that fashion. He is also the biggest red zone threat in the NFL. He is also the Panthers' biggest home run threat from a running category as well. So Cam Newton, he has one of the biggest arms in the NFL, and he's one of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's also big. So how do you defend all of that? How do you defend his ability to make plays outside the pocket with his arm? How do you really defend him in terms of his rushing attack and all the different ways he can attack you? Because he's not just a quarterback who can scramble. He's not just a quarterback who can run occasionally, but he's a quarterback that I've seen run 15 times a game because he is big enough to take the hits. He is tough enough to take the hits consistently and keep on going and keep on chugging and keep having an impact on a game. And he is a quarterback that I don't think we've ever seen in terms of his running ability where he can actually wear down defense because he's so difficult to take down. He's so difficult to tackle. He's so tough to really play against in all the different ways. And he exposes and he really hurts a defense because he tires them out over the course of a game because of all you have to defend. So that is why an NFL defensive player would say that Cam Newton is underrated and underappreciated. But Cam Newton, like I just said, he is the offensive scheme of the Panthers. He always has been and he always will be. They have never really had ultra creative offenses. It's just been all that Cam Newton can do, setting up different plays for his skill set that has made the Panthers a good team in the past and will continue to make the Panthers a relevant team going forward. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I believe Cam Newton is the most unique quarterback to ever play the game because he's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. I believe he's probably closer to 6'6". And like I said, he has one of the best arms I've ever seen in terms of pure velocity. And when he's on, he is on. And then he's underrated within the pocket. For sure. Like, not a lot of people realize that when he actually gets good offensive line play and good protection, he can sling it from the pocket. He's extremely exciting. He's fun. He celebrates. He brings viewers to the game. He brings a different demographic to the game of football. And he's just overall a really good time to watch week after week after week. And I think some people will argue that Michael Vick was a better running quarterback than Cam Newton, but I would say that Cam Newton has probably proven himself to be the best pure runner in NFL history as a quarterback. And if he's not first, he is second, okay? When you really look at the numbers, he's first because Cam Newton actually leads the NFL since 2011 in red zone touchdowns. That includes running backs. He has 58 rushing touchdowns by a quarterback, which is the most of all time. And he's still playing. And he's still going to add to that total. And I believe he's pretty far above everybody else in that category. He's rushed for over 700 yards 3 times in his NFL career, which is the same amount as Michael Vick. And Randall Cunningham only did that once in his NFL career. So Cam Newton with the touchdowns combined with the yardage, I mean, I think he's above Michael Vick in terms of the statistics. Now, Vick was a better scrambler, but what Cam Newton can do from a design running standpoint is also special because we never saw Michael Vick, design quarterback runs from the 1-yard line jumping over people, but we do see that from Cam Newton. Another statistic that I would throw out there for Cam Newton is how difficult he is to take down. He recorded 20 forced missed tackles this past season, not in his rookie year, not in 2015, this past season, which was the most by any quarterback, which was alongside Lamar Jackson, who had 20 as well. But Lamar Jackson actually attempted 56 more rushes than Cam Newton. So Cam Newton is that much more dangerous as a runner, that much harder to take down than even Lamar Jackson is as a rookie still coming off his college career where he's as fast as he'll ever be and as difficult as he'll ever be to take down. Cam Newton ran for 14 touchdowns in one season in 2011, his rookie season, which broke the all-time record for rushing touchdowns, which was set 35 years before that by Steve Grogan, the Patriots' Steve Grogan. The first NFL quarterback with 10-plus rushing touchdowns in multiple NFL seasons, 2011 and 2015. Cam Newton, again, is the best running quarterback I've ever seen from a statistical standpoint, and I just think people overlook this. Like, his impact on the game is insurmountable, it's immeasurable. It's just so different and so different from what people are used to seeing that I think that's why people don't appreciate it as much as they really should. And I think this also leads to what I've said. Cam Newton is probably the toughest quarterback that we've seen, at least in this era, because he takes bumps and he takes his hits constantly because he is always running the ball. He runs the ball more than anybody else in the league. He takes hits because he has a terrible offensive line and he's trying to make plays outside the pocket, and he's consistently getting banged up even though he's playing through injury constantly. Leads to my next point in the consistency around him at the offensive line, the wide receiver position, and defensively, and at the running back position. I mean, people think of the Panthers as being a defensive team with a great running game. That's actually not the case. Cam Newton's only ever had one 1,000-yard rusher, which was during the 2018 season with Christian McCaffrey. He's only had 2 top 10 defenses in terms of scoring, and that was in the 2 best seasons the Panthers have ever had. Wow, I wonder if that's a coincidence. 2013 and 2015. And the best offensive line Cam Newton ever had was in 2015 when he won the MVP. And he's really not had a lot of consistency, especially at the tackle position. And then you look at the wide receivers that Cam Newton has had. And he's had Steve Smith, he's had Greg Olsen. But Steve Smith was only in the first 3 years of his career, and really only the first year was still elite Steve Smith. Outside of that, he was just okay or good. Okay? Then later on in his career, he pretty much made Kelvin Benjamin into a number 1 wide receiver. Just look at the fantasy finishes of his wide receivers. The top one was 8th in his rookie season with Steve Smith. And then the second closest is Kelvin Benjamin with 17. You get wide receiver finishes in his MVP season. Ted Ginn was the top receiver on his team. Wide receiver 33, 2016. Benjamin, wide receiver 28. Devin Funchess, wide receiver 22 in 2017. This past season, DJ Moore, wide receiver 35. Steve Smith, wide receiver 37 in 2013. And when they made the playoffs. And Cam Newton is doing this with basically a bunch of average receivers throughout the course of his NFL career. And that's being nice. The records are the main emphasis that I think it completely goes over their head with Cam Newton. He is a guy that has set NFL records that were never ever thought of before he entered the league. And I'm only going to give you a few here, and then I'm going to give you a list after this because there's way too many for me to list. If you really want the full list, go to his Wikipedia page because there are a lot of records. But let's just go with a few that I thought were very impressive. Okay? Cam Newton is the only player in the modern era to be awarded the Heisman Trophy, National Championship, and become the first overall pick in an NFL draft within a 1-year span. He is a 2011 NFL Rookie of the Year, 3-time Pro Bowler, NFL MVP, first team All-Pro, and NFC champion. In his rookie year, Newton broke all-time NFL records for passing yards and rushing yards. He became the first NFL quarterback to throw for over 400 yards in one game and to throw for 4,000 yards in one season. The first ever. He has the most combined touchdowns for a rookie in NFL history, 35. The most combined yards for a rookie in NFL history with 4,784. The first and only rookie to pass for more than 4,000 yards and rush for more than 700. The first rookie in NFL history to pass for more than 400 in back-to-back games. In 2015, Newton became the first quarterback to throw for over 30 passing touchdowns and run for over 10 rushing touchdowns. He has combined yards in a player's first 5 seasons, the most ever, 21,000 plus. He has the most Player of the Week awards in a single season with 5, tied with Tom Brady from 2007. He also became the only quarterback ever to have 300 yards passing, 5 touchdown passes, and over 100 yards rushing in one game. He has the most games in NFL history with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to win the NFL Rookie of the Year and the NFL MVP at any point in their NFL career. And there are way more, which I'll give you the list right here. Biggest stat I can possibly give you to back up this claim of Cam Newton being underappreciated is his touchdowns through his first 8 seasons, which is his current NFL career. He ranks third all time in most touchdowns through 8 seasons. Peyton Manning is first with 253. Dan Marino is second with 246. And Cam Newton is third with 240. If that doesn't speak to how underrated Cam Newton is, nothing really does. And for those of you asking, oh, what's his record? What's his winning percentage? Blah, 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 blah. Well, he's made the playoffs 4 out of 8 times. He's the first starting quarterback to win the NFC South in consecutive seasons, which Drew Brees has never even done. The percentage is above Eli Manning in terms of winning percentage, and it's just below Phillip Rivers. But my question to you guys is, I'm done my rant, I'm done my thoughts and giving you my opinion on this and backing it up with factual information. But why doesn't Cam Newton get the same type of love that some of these other quarterbacks get? Why doesn't he get the same type of love that some of these other players get? Is it because he's an African-American quarterback? Is it because he doesn't carry himself like a Tom Brady? Is it because he wears these outlandish outfits? Is it because he celebrates after a touchdown? What is it? Let me know in the comment section below. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Cam Newton's underappreciated, and I hope you can appreciate him this upcoming season when he becomes healthy for the Carolina Panthers in the 2019 season. Peace out.